Hello everyone, and welcome to the Celtic Heart Temple. My name is Erica, and I am the host of today's conversation with Sonia Tahraoui. And the purpose of this conversation is to bring the wisdom of an ecstatic dance, of movement, of feminine embodiment, either on a soul level or an emotional, into women's life so that we can stand in our power, so that we can feel confident in our own bodies, in our own skin, so that we can reclaim our sexuality, our sensuality, our pleasure, and reclaim our body and really treat our body like a temple that it is, a divine and sacred temple. So, if you don't know me already, my name is Erika Nikishkina, and I am a ecstatic dance facilitator and also a divine soul alignment mentor. And I will discuss this later on. But for now,
Mm.
I would like to introduce my guest today is, as I mentioned before, Sonia Tahraoui. I pronounced it well. And Sonia is, I wrote down here for myself, is a space holder of movement, feminine embodiment work, and dance. So, welcome, Sonia. And to begin with, perhaps I invite you to share your story and share how you've stepped onto this path to facilitating this work and how this work helped for you personally in your own life and reclaiming your own feminine energy and stepping into the woman that you are today.
Wow, thank you. I'm delighted to have this conversation, open these amazing threads. And yeah, I would love to share a bit about that. I mean, to narrow it down into words, let's see. But yeah, for me, um, this path was through, I guess, steps of returning to um beginning to feel my body again. So resensitizing to actually understanding the connection to the body. So for me, yeah, I spent many years, like potentially most people, not feeling my body, not connected. So meaning not really able to cry, not able to express. So my expression was stunted from a very young age. Obviously for many reasons, like most people, our individual stories um, can yeah can inhibit that. So for me, it was like my expression was stunted, and even in all levels, there was a disconnect. There was a freeze, a numbing, escaping, and not being able to like connect into that. And I didn't realize I was even like that for many years. In terms of my expression with my sexuality, and also just in terms of like my yeah, my expression on the everyday. Um, so how it started was it started with started firstly with yoga, and then moved into embodiment fairly quickly when I started working with a mentor I had for a couple of years from the Netherlands, Sarah Warner, who brought me first time ever introduced to anything, which was embodied breath work. So that was something that I was so unfamiliar with. At this point, I wasn't aware of this disconnect fully until I started to realize that I was maybe naive to how disconnected I was from my body. I didn't even know what that was, embodiment. Like, what is that? What does that mean? And but something was drawing me forward as I started to move on this path, like 5 years ago, maybe a bit more. But something was drawing me to this type of work. It kept kind of coming to my awareness, embodiment, movement, and I wanted to understand what that meant. And I had quite a big, yeah, it was slow, but also a big um, awakening to the power of the body by tapping into, yeah, emotion and true embodiment, and that leading into expression, true feeling, true allowing, and being safe enough to do so in a held space.
Hmm. Hmm. So if you were to remember, let's say your first time, right? When you
Ooh, very.
oh.
I'm just going to bring this back again so that you can see.
Yeah, yeah.
1 second now.
We'll cut this off, don't worry.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I want to make sure this is okay. Back. Yes.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you were to remember your first time when you went to a workshop or to a dance yourself, how did it feel? Did you feel nervous and, were you afraid of judgment or what would other people think about you? And how did that transform with years?
Yeah. So of course, all of those things, like from coming into, like, if I reflect back on that person, she was firstly hyper aware of her environment. So external validation, even from um other women, like anybody. It was like external validation, being accepted, feeling good enough, being very hyper aware of my expression in a space and if that's going to be judged, or maybe I would hold back if that's too much. So there was like all of these stories simultaneously coming into play, and to become aware of that takes a lot of I guess just I guess bringing yourself forward to become aware of those natural things that happen when we first come out of our comfort zone and start to explore. So yeah, there was all of those things present. Feeling quite vulnerable to come to a space like that. Had no expectations, but also was so naive to, yeah, if I could see that person, it was like I was in like a little shell. And lacking in confidence, creativity, confidence, creativity, self-expression, self-worth, all of those things were pretty much on the floor at that point. And I didn't know any other way. And I guess that comes as well with like, yeah, potentially those parts of not being like having a space to express for many years, or knowing how to in the right way. And that wasn't for others, not for others, just for self.
Thank you for sharing that. I do share a similar experience with you, and I suppose a lot of women that are considering of attending an ecstatic dance or any work where there's women and perhaps men and all of the fears that are arising can be daunting. And in my own experience over the last, the, again, yeah, reflecting on the past self, yeah, I used to attend various women's circles, and I would never go to the same one twice because the vulnerability of opening my inner world or being seen and witnessed with all of my considered mess was just too much to bear. And in order to avoid that judgment or the fear of being judged or seen again in the same state, I would find another circle, attend another circle, go share there, and will never come back. And over the years, then I have realized that, yeah, it was nobody really cared. Nobody cared about me. Everybody had their own stuff that they were going through, um, and bit by bit, that began to dissolve. It was not instantaneous, of course, yet every movement practice that I have attended, that I have then began practicing at home, began teaching me more about my body. And as you said yourself, right, we are so disconnected in our society from the body. It's all about the intellect, it's all about the mind, it's all about your achievements, what you know, how well you know it, your grades, and everything else. And it's like we live in this space in here, right, in our head, and the rest of the body is something that we just have, right? We may be
Mhm.
not happy with it, we may not even notice it unless it's sore, unless it begins to scream at you. It's like, hey, I need attention. And through all different illnesses and everything that can come out of that. So in the work that I also do with women, I see them in that space, and it helps me to hold them, I suppose, with that gentleness, right? Because I know how it is, and I'm sure it is the same for you, right? When you look at them and you know, okay, I've so been there, and it's not
Mhm.
that we as facilitators think now that we are better than whoever is attending, or perhaps just at the beginning of their spiritual journey, is the compassion for where they are, is um, the understanding that we can hold that space for them in a way that is tender, in a way that we've learned how to hold the space for ourselves, that is gentle, that is kind, and that is compassionate, and that is patient. And being Taurus, patience is something that I had to learn over the years, right? So, so, where we can go from here? Where we
Yeah,
can go from?
so I like, yeah, it's really amazing, I think, when there's so much this conversation can go on so many paths, so many it's huge. And I don't know if I ever knew before how big it is for us as women and men, but in society to reframe and to really come back to our homes, our body, which is also connected to the earth, I feel as well. And like that connection for me happened at the same time because I think that connect for me was disconnected from the earth. I had been, and then disconnected from my body. And then when the connection to the earth happened, connection to my body happened, and
Mm,
that came together. And something that I know that we're tapping into when we
yeah,
start, so starting to move into movement is instinct. And of course, like that instinctual nature that we have as women and as men, but that intuitive nature that's in the body. And I think anybody who watches this or anybody who's listening, as a woman, we know that your intuition is your superpower. It
yeah,
is, and you that's something that everybody has felt, whether on a spiritual journey or not. So I always say that to people in my workshops is like your intuition knows your body's your compass. It's signaling all the time in these subtle ways, and we don't often listen. We don't
mm,
often listen, and but the more we attune to that, the more we become attuned to our own bodies, meaning
mhm,
that can filter into everything else. That filters into our relationships to ourselves and to others, but also the intuitive nature that we have and that instinctual nature can yeah, combine all of those things into movement is then we really hear the whispers of our soul, of our body, of
yeah,
our longings, of our desires. All of those things are within the body. Yes, the mind can try and analyze it, and I think as you were sharing, we live in a mind ratio world where it's just living from the head up. And this is the journey of embodiment is coming into the entirety of our body, the entirety of our being, the entirety of our soul. And then the work that you're bringing of sexuality and that starting with the body is
yeah,
like
yeah.
the starting point.
I love it. I love it the way you said that, the connection to the earth and the connection to the body, right? Because years ago, I was interviewing women to see what was the need, the most pressing need. I was looking for a way to serve, so I was interviewing different women to understand what they needed, and a lot what came out of our conversation is the need for connection. And everybody, not everybody, majority of women I've interviewed really expressed the need for deepening of the connection. And when we explored deeper, the connection to nature was one of them, connection to themselves, yet it was somehow um, not defined, right? Not graspable because it was all intellectual, right? So I want, like, it's we women, we as women feel intuitively, as you've mentioned, that we there has to be a connection, right? There has to be a connection. There has to be something that we are not yet perceiving. So we're looking for this connection, not really understanding what that connection really feels like. And then once you drop into the body and you begin to live in the body, experiencing the world through the body, through the five senses, moving with the body, with the emotion, with whatever is arising, that connection establishes itself. And then you say, wow, wow, that's a lot, right? And that can also feel scary because if we are here and we are not like down below, we're not feeling our body from the root upwards, reestablishing that connection too soon can be very frightening because all of a sudden it's like, so much body, so much, Jesus, I have not felt this for a while. And different things are screaming for our attention now that we are listening, right? That we are connecting. And I feel that's what the dance is offering is what in psychology is described as titration, right? It's the gradual descent into the body. It's the gentleness of experience. It's not that we're submerging ourselves into the deep water of our own being straight away. Is that we're moving
Mm-hmm.
in a way that our nervous system is capable of processing at this time, and we're moving with the music and yeah, I can talk so much about the sound and the music and how it can evoke different states, how it can evoke different emotional reactions, different memories. And all of that happens in the way that is right for us, in the way that we're ready, in the way that our soul, let's say, has predetermined, right? That there is different stages, so it's not everything at the same time, straight out of the first session. It's the gradual deepening into the body, into our experience, into our soul expression, and unmasking and unlayering everything that is no longer working, right?
Mm. Mm. And yeah, like movement as a point, like dance as a starting point.
Mm.
Um, like in general, a lot of people would feel that I've spoken to is like, well, but like I can't dance, or like I don't know how to. Yeah, I'm not a good dancer. So there's all of these stories, and what I always kind of come back to when we're in general, if there's something that sparks curiosity in you, and in anybody, it's like to feel that and follow that, and then the stories come in, but those stories are just stories, and they will come up and they will prevent you from tr coming out of a comfort zone. And we all can move and dance, and I feel like that is an entry point for people to, because it's our birthright, it is our highest expression as we move,
Love,
um
yeah.
in a way that is, it's a feeling, it's a subtle sensations and layers within the body, and in a sacred way, in a way that is held in a space of this type that we're holding and that you're holding, and many other people in unique ways. I think it's a beautiful starting point for people to start to connect with themselves, with
Mm.
their expression, with movements, through anything that's coming. It can be movement. Sometimes within the movement, the stillness is also where you hear, but until we empty out, we can't hear. That's the
Mm.
with dance, it's like emptying out.
Yeah, yeah. So so I feel right? Because for those, well, I suppose whoever knows, who doesn't know, it doesn't matter, right? Um, the way me and Sonia met was through the sacred sexuality training with Trish Cameron, and my desire to weave sacred sexuality into the ecstatic dance is, what do I want to say here? I suppose what I want to say is that I was in the car yesterday, driving my eldest one to a friend of mine for a biomagnetic treatment, and he saw your name on my phone, and I have you saved as Sonia Sacred Sexuality, Sacred Sex Training, you know, and he was like, "Oh my God, mom, what is that? Sacred sex? What is that?" Like he was so confused. And I was like, "It was sacred sexuality training." And then he goes, "What is sacred sexuality?" And it took me a couple of minutes to really define that for myself so that I can translate
Mhm.
that to him in a way that he would understand as well, or age appropriate way. And as I was sitting and thinking about it, um, I've decided that I wanted to bring this to him in a way that teaches him about the importance of the body, right? And importance of our life force energy, our sexual energy, and how it can show up and manifest in our day-to-day life, how it impacts our relating to another, how it impacts our relationship, our self-worth, and how we do things, right? How we create things, manifest things, and many different things. And how important it was, or it is for us, for all the women, to remember that our bodies are the sacred temples, and that they're not only sacred, they're divine, because
Mhm.
we've all have been created, right, from the spark of light, and that has been scientifically proven. And and therefore, when we create with the divine energy, and we create from the space of the sacred temple that is capable of receiving the inspiration, and also using the energy, the sexual energy, in order to bring that into the day-to-day life, whatever it is that we are birthing. So so
Mhm.
like
Yeah,
that
amazing.
relates to one of my dances that I was doing when we women intuitively feel, right, when there is a right time and space for us to be somewhere. And this woman arrived, and she was like, "I'm not feeling the connection to my husband anymore, and I don't know what is happening. There's something that I want to say, but it's just I cannot find words to say it." And during the dance, I have felt the energy moving through me, and to support her in her own expression and finding her own voice. And what happened after was that she came to her husband and had the most important conversation, as she said, in her entire life. When she was able to say what she wanted to say for a very long time, she just couldn't find the words to it. And for me, I attribute that to the awakening of our sacred energy, right? And
Mhm.
to our body's ability to move the energy, or move move the energy, right, from the root up into the throat, because both our yoni and our throat have um, what do they have? Exactly the same shape, or the same look, right? And in your own work, I suppose, or in your own experience, did how did you use what you have felt in terms of your own sexuality or sexual expression or sensuality, and the dance mixed together?
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for sharing all of that. Um, so, so for me, um, it started with decolonizing my relationship with sexuality.
Okay, what does that mean?
Because also when like there's these imprints of needing this sexuality like object our bodies that are objectified and need to be need to be for validation or for to please others and not for us to enjoy ourselves. And that story was so strongly with me. And I always, in through my life, my expression, my sexual expression was always to please others. It was never my own. And I didn't know how to access that because it was quite scary, like vulnerable and scary. And for me, I realized it was by starting to connect with my own expression, my sensual expression, which started through movement and dance and still is one of my most cherished ways to tap into sensual pleasure and sexuality in a way that is so sacred to me and holy to me and is not for anybody else. It's not for to be seen by anybody, to be validated by anybody. It is a practice of actually allowing myself to feel sensations, to enjoy my body, to enjoy moving, to enjoy what is felt when I allow myself to move maybe in a more erotic way, and that being like so safe for me in my own space or in a shared space, but it takes time to get there, in a shared space. But that the potency of softening into your body and to allow like these subtle, like the whole entire body to be felt rather than it being just through what we deem as like pleasurable or sexual is just through penetration or through with another. It's like never about the woman in it's about performance. So what I had to learn and what really helped me was completely dissolving the performance element of life in general, of expression, or but bleeding into sexuality completely. Um, but that as dance, as movement. So that element of this is not a performance, this is actually really allow myself to feel what is alive. And then therefore that can also nurture and other relationships that I may be in, or even just with relationship with myself first and foremost. And that's what I really want to bring forth for women is that relationship with self, that deep, intimate relationship with self that will take probably most of our lives because it's not black and white, but there's a starting point.
For sure, yeah. And I do so understand you because even in my own journey of sacred sexuality and beginning a regular and disciplined practice of self-pleasure was unmasking and unlayering all of that, and also seeing, okay, if I am dancing, who am I dancing for? And if I am moving in a certain way, who am I doing this for? And do I want to put it out online, right, for the people to see and to observe me? Or is it something that is so personal and private that I want to keep it? And sometimes I definitely want to keep it and I don't want to share it. And sometimes, like, it is important to share, right? So there is both ways. And I believe that then what becomes possible is um, the the boundaries, right? And because it's a relationship with ourselves that we're having, is that what are the boundaries that I am wanting to put in place for myself? Am
Mhm.
I wanting to overshare my movement, my body, my expression? Am I just seeking attention and validation from others? Or am I doing this for myself? And I believe when I'm on the floor, there are times when I notice that I am doing this to get an attention, right? And there are times when I'm dancing and I'm dancing for me. And when I am dancing for me and with me, and I create like a barrier around me, then that dance is so intimate. That dance is so gentle and so potent, and the nourishment as a woman that I get from that is unbelievable. It's like refueling the car right after it run empty. Um, so
Yeah.
so
Yeah, and I think with just what you're saying there, like so we're thought, I guess in general, maybe it's when we're like normally dancing or when we are experiencing dance, we maybe also there's the level of not being connected fully to our bodies because we may be like if in the everyday world could be like alcohol, drugs, all those other things that are influencing our expression, which are all like, yes, there's place for that, but this is like peeling back all of that. And then what is actually really alive when all of that is not in the picture. And then we are when we are really truly inhibiting our body, like completely present, and this level of presence is also what is essential for like yeah our relationship to sexuality,
mm,
being present with our body, like our signals, what feels good, what does not feel good, what feels comfortable, and that's even our honoring our own consent and our respecting our own bodies, what feels not comfortable for me, and that level of presence that we can get to is pretty amazing. And I really it was something I didn't even think of before because I feel like, yeah, we all know it. Like even in intimacy, we know that presence is such a gift, a blessing. But when we can be so present with ourselves, that's so present with ourselves is like being is like yeah, it's honoring. It's a real honoring of you as a woman or as a male, as a
mm,
body, as a being.
yeah, yeah. So tell me, in I assume you have your own practice, right? A regular practice that you submerge yourself into, right? And where you dance with yourself. Um, so how did that practice help you, or is helping you in your life or in your relationships or any other area?
Yeah. So my practice is it's really again embodying what is present, what is alive for me in times of this human experience because it isn't always yeah, that feeling of joy or pleasure or lightness. It's a, like allowing my practice is allowing myself to be present and that infiltrates movement. So that like allows movement. So what is being moved, what is being felt, being moved by myself, by what is alive, what I'm feeling. Um, and sometimes different energies, it's a natural occurrence. At this point, it's very natural. Different energies just want to rise. And maybe that is playful. Maybe that is like chaotic because again chaos is something that the world like allowing ourselves to be messy and to be chaotic and not to have everything sit like rigid and sitting together and holding it all in. For me, my practice is expression because I like get to allow myself to take up space to release and to witness and to actually understand what is going on, and then that to be like given space to and allowed so then other things can be felt and emerge from that space that's been given.
Yeah, beautiful. It's like tending to the temple, right? Creating a safe space, and I believe what scares a lot of women, especially at the beginning, is that they're not confident that they can hold a safe space for themselves, or that they're capable of dealing with whatever is arising because it's unknown and unexpected. And do you find that you learn with time what you do or what comes to you naturally or best and how to best support yourself? Or are there any tools that you are using that are helping you to process whatever is arising and that to create that safe space for yourself to experience yourself in every multi-dimension
Yeah,
that's possible?
of course. And it's taken me time to even get to a place where I can do that without maybe guidance and without, yeah, like I guess for me, I start like meditation, I guess, is sitting and it's very like it's very focused and it can be very, again, masculine, maybe, let's say, like a masculine practice where you're, again, there's presence, there's focus, and something that I over time knew I needed was, again, like to move. And that can start from making a playlist. Like certain music for you, like everybody's going to relate to music differently, and music does evoke such different expressions, which is so fascinating. It's never ending.
Yeah, yeah, for
Um,
sure.
but something that I would say for anybody wanting to start is like, okay, there's a playlist I'm going to make, and maybe specifically it can be very sensual, it can be very slow, and it's going to be like a very slow introduction. Maybe you start with, like, again, just being able to like feel your body, actually touching your body, and be inhibiting, like, okay, what is it that what I start with people sometimes is like, okay, dropping into the body parts. Okay, like, how do my hands want to move? How do my
Mm,
fingers want to move? How do my arms want to move? Starting to like actually bring in all the body parts one by one,
yeah.
and starting to just sense, and then letting, maybe there's like, maybe my shoulders today are feeling like, oof, they
Yeah.
need to start to move. And I just find sometimes that can happen, and over time, like, it can become a very, yeah, it doesn't need to be a structured thing. And I think that's the big piece with me is like, I the unstructured, the unstructured layers of being human and being an emotional being in a body.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And that's interesting that you say, right? Because in male, I don't want to say male dominated, in patriarchal society, right? Um, we are, or even it's not a patriarchal society. I believe just in our society, we're
Mhm.
seeking a way outside of ourselves, right? We are seeking a method, we're seeking a process, we're seeking teachings that will help us, right? And it is a great starting point. However, the biggest teaching and the biggest wisdom comes from when you make those practices your own, when you play with different modalities and you understand, okay, what works for me and what doesn't. And the way you've shared about the music, I am exactly the same way. Sometimes I hear the music and it evokes emotion. And it's like, oh, right, that's going to be great for this kind of work, right? And then I hear something else and it evokes another kind of resistance. And I slow down and I would drop in and I was like, okay, what is happening here, right? Why am I feeling that resistance? And for me, at the moment when I dance, the biggest thing is the what in five rhythm is called the staccato. You know, it's the very high level, high action, high kind of energy um, rhythm and dance movement that requires you to, let's say, bring it 100%, right? 110.
Mhm.
And what
Mhm.
I'm learning to do with myself is that to bring less, right? Because I can be quite full on, I can be all in it, and then come out with an injury. So, So my journey with that was to, okay, I'm gonna listen to myself and I'm gonna listen to my body, and I am not gonna step over what it is not capable of doing at the moment. Perhaps I had a very hard week at work, and perhaps I have no energy, so there is no point of me pushing myself beyond the limit or beyond
Hmm.
what it what my body is capable of doing, performing, right? And performance, not a nice word. So it's really the invitation to come back to our own wisdom and to listen to ourselves. And when we begin to do that, I find in my own experience is that, and experience in women that I have worked with through the years, is that once we establish that connection, once we begin to listen to ourselves and be led by ourselves, then we form that trust in ourselves, right? And with that comes the confidence, because then we are capable of understanding and observing and perhaps tending to what is uncomfortable, what wants to be seen, what wants to be expressed in a way that is right for us, minus all the
Hmm.
expectations and, with clear boundaries and everything like that. So I know that you have a daughter, right? And as a mother, um, how important would you say your work or your journey of sacred sexuality and dance and embodiment has been in mothering your daughter?
Yeah, like I really feel. Um, and again, I'm not like perfect. I'm not at maybe the place I would, it's a lifelong thing. But I feel like since my relationship with my body and myself has changed, I hope, and I know that my daughter will go through her own journey and experiences, but that she can have a better model of like being comfortable in her own skin, like how comfortable we are. And there's like, yes, we can obviously, our human nature is going to be critical and all of those things naturally, but like the more that we can try to establish a relationship with our body, to adore our body more, um and by me, like before maybe I would have criticized myself out loud and like those things of like, no, really allow myself to not to, I guess, show that to her, or not, sorry, not show it to her, not to by not having those parts anymore as strongly, she's feeling that. And yeah, like the work is so important because I think like the level of conditioning that society has on young girls and women, and that we all have experienced, to look perfect, to be perfect, to have the most perfect, like everything is about this external gratification, validation from the world outside of ourselves, so continuously. And the models of that for the kids now is so there's so much illusion around that, to look pretty and perfect and to all of those things. So I feel like the work that I bring is very primal and very instinctual and very true, like, and that is the essence. I'm like, yes, we are wild and raw in our essence, like that is our essence, beneath all of those layers. And the coming home to that, it takes time. But there is that part of us that is of the earth, that is primal, that is messy, that is raw. And that part, when that expression is allowed, yes, you can still feel good and find ways to yeah, express yourself through how you visually look. But not only on external, because then we lose our essence, and I want my daughter to be able to feel her authenticity, her expression, and her essence beyond what she looks like as a body, as a yeah, as a girl, as a woman growing in this world. It's kind of like, yeah, it's quite important that those values and that they feel their essence, they feel yeah, that they're enough. and that their expression and unique expression is beautiful because everybody's just so unique. And with movement and dance, nobody can dance like you, nobody can move like you. Like everybody is so unique, and I love that about what I see in witnessing people through dance and through workshops like this is like everyone's expression is so unique and so beautiful and so different. And we're all so different. It's about like literally that process of being like, yeah, this is my expression and this is unique to me, and there's nobody else who has that is beautiful, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I completely understand. Yeah. And yeah, I just admire you, right? Very much so. And I believe that women who have girls as children are just like, oh, here's a torch for you, right? Because me having boys, it's different, right? I get to pass on
Mhm.
the wisdom of that I am tapping into, right? That I am learning to them in a way that I hope will build a foundation for them for how they see women, view women, how they treat women, and also will help them to understand women in a way that is true, the way that is
Mhm.
true to how we were created and what is our purpose here on this planet and the purpose of relationships as well. And yeah, yeah, I'm rooting for all women that do this work and that then get to pass that on to their own kids. um,
Mhm.
and I believe that all of us will begin to dilute the conditioning or the matrix that it's called, right, that we are living in, and begin to create a more compassionate and authentic world, and where we feel safe, where we are seen by ourselves for who we truly are, and can create from this space of heart that is so primal, that is so beautiful, and that is so divine. It's like, ah, it's just beautiful. Okay, so I suppose um, because we're nearing the end, is there something that you would like to say um, or share that is
Mm.
wanting to come out, right? For those that will be looking at this video and hearing our stories and messages.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, my prayer is that every human can feel their aliveness, that they can feel their fullness and the fullest capacity, like the fullness of feeling, which is also that women can feel autonomy over their bodies, that they can feel sovereign in their own skin and their expression and their pleasure and their sensuality and their beautifulness in all its forms, like all parts of them being accept, like to accept that. And I feel with the work that you're doing in movement and bridging sexuality and dance together, it is there's no separation with it because those states are like beyond those states of being can be accessed over time, but in this form is the most beautiful and I think gentle way to access that. And it's yeah, just to know that it's yours as women, it's yours and doesn't belong to anybody else. And their expression does not belong to anybody else.
Love it. Thank you so much. Yeah, I second that, and um, yeah, I'm really passionate about giving the tools to women to live the life that they want, right? And to be empowered by their own wildness, by their own multidimensional way of perceiving, of being. And it's not that we are just a mother or we're an employee or a partner. We as women have so many faces, have so many layers, have so many expressions. I feel that if we suppress that, if we suppress the expression of whatever is wanting to come out, even our wildest, the most unbridled, chaotic selves, then we are losing out on experiencing our life the way we are meant to live it, right? Or feel it, or sense it, or hear it, or see it in whatever way is possible.
Mhm.
So, is there anything that you have coming up that you would like to share, that people can attend to, in your own work?
Um, Amazing. Thank you very much. I have a 8 week online container starting in February, so it's going to start February 13th. It's an 8 week online container for women. So we'll be exploring movement and dance, working with different topics around the body, around self-acceptance, around expression. Um, and yeah, so there's going to be a call every week for that, and it's online, so you can access it.
Okay,
That's coming up, and then yeah, that's the only thing right now that is kind of in set in stone.
thank you.
So yeah,
Okay,
thank
so
you.
yes, I'll add the details in the comments down below, comments in the description of this video below. And then if you're interested to know more about Sonia's work, then there's going to be details on that as well. And if you're interested of attending one of my ecstatic dances, then the invitation for that will be also below. If you have any questions, do let us know, put some comments. If you have any questions, what you thought about this video, whether it was beneficial for you or not, that will encourage me to do more of that and to serve you in the way that is needed for you. And so, yeah, I suppose that's it. Yeah, thank you everybody for watching, and thank you, Sonia, for coming on air with me in this way and having a conversation. It was a true honor, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
My heart is.
Oh, thank you so much, and I really hope I can get to your dance. You're amazing and inspiring, and being in your presence, like I just love what your energy is alone is so beautiful, and what you embody, because I really know that. Yeah, you truly are embodying what you bring to the world. So yeah, I'm excited for you, and thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.